Next is from Eddie Hogan. The subject is "Fire Me, Please." Oh boy. I have a question for Disco and Joe because I don't think Conan can comment on this without causing potential drama for the parties involved. Although I love your input if possible, Conan. A few weeks ago on Dynamite, we had return appearances by Thunder Rosa and Miro. It has been reported that not only was Andrade backstage at that taping, but he actually refused to film a similar segment himself despite Tony Khan's request. I personally think that Andrade is a special talent, but considering his tracker in AEW, on top of the fact that Tony Khan seemingly won't let anyone of note leave AEW, he has to know that Andrade and Charlotte duo on WWE TV would be awesome. Is it possible that Andrade could be trying to get himself fired from AEW? I don't know. Maybe. How would I know any of this? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Conan, do you have any comment on this?
Yeah, his contract is up in a couple of months, so he's probably. I wouldn't know. I would think he would rather be with his wife, and they might have already promised him a good storyline or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so I can't see him. I can't see him. I don't know why Tony would resign him, and I don't know why he would want to resign. How about that?
I would bet this. I bet he gets a 6-year extension. Just like
Brian Cage.
Brian Cage. Like, when you go like, dude, Brian Cage needs to change the scenery right now. He needs to go. It's like, oh, they just re-signed him for 6 years. Right. And he's out there standing out there with Prince Nana.
Yeah, and he's probably thinking, I got 2 kids. I'm gonna I'm gonna be secure for 6 years.
He's got a hot wife and two kids. Like what? He's doing fine, right?
Would you, in this situation, Conan, with a guy that's unhappy, maybe he refused to do a vignette or whatever they're saying there, and he wants to leave so he can go to the say CMLL or whatever, would you let him go or would you hang on to him?
It just depends. If he's being a dick about it, I'd probably hang on to him just to be a dick to him.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably suspend him without pay or something like that.
Next is from Anton Gallagher. The subject is diminishing Disco. Good day, gentlemen. I was deeply concerned when listening to last week's bonus mailbag. It appeared to me that Disco made 2 glaring inaccuracies when discussing popular music. First, he incorrectly attributed a Nirvana cover, "The Man Who Sold the World" by David Bowie, to REM. Yeah, I did make a mistake on that, but I do because I've been listening to some REM stuff, but I have not been listening to a lot of Nirvana stuff in a long time. Then minutes later, confused Tina Turner with Donna Summer regarding disco classic "I Feel Love" in the 20 minutes. Correct, but I've been listening to a lot of Tina Turner and a lot of Donna Summer. That was just a tongue. I know who sings "I Feel Love." There's just a small sample of growing inaccuracies in Glenn's commentaries of late. Question: is Disco willfully spreading misinformation, thereby eligible to spend himself in the mailbag? Are we seeing a reduction in his mental faculties? There's a growing public concern he's turning into the Sleepy Joe Biden of wrestling podcasts. Best wishes, and that's Dr. Tony Jabroni, mental health professional. Let's suspend this guy.
I don't think that's his real name.
Yeah, let's suspend this guy for spreading medical misinformation about me. Okay, 1 week. Yeah, 1 week. Anton Gallagher.
Yeah.
Carl Ball, subject is more diverse points of view. Greetings to K-Dog, Disco, and Joe. I've enjoyed listening to your podcast for more than 5 years. You're still going strong. In my humble opinion, your podcast is my top 3 of all podcasts. If I do have an issue with one particular area of the show, it sometimes gets frustrating listening to topics that pertain to African Americans when there isn't an African American there to give authentic input. Time and time again, Conan's opinion is the only one that's anywhere close to an accurate description. I know you guys don't take requests, so may I please suggest having Stevie Ray back on the show more often? His last appearance on the show was fantastic. Plus, it's nice to see him put Disco in his place. Anyway, keep up the good work. I don't know how put me in my place. Stevie Ray's a friend of mine. Okay, well, let's talk about this. So the guy says, I don't. You'd have to be more specific about like topics that we talk about because the guy said Conan's description is more accurate, but it's like I don't think I'm inaccurate. That's just the way I feel. Like we just have opinions on these things, so I don't know what this guy's trying to say. I will say this. Sports, and this to me was a good story. Okay. So remember when we played the clip? Did we do a talks about this, or was it just on the sports clip? When we played the Kendrick Perkins JJ Riddick exchange, where Kendrick Perkins insinuated that Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, it wasn't a talk. We just went over it.
Went over. Yeah, we talked about sports. Okay, and he made a point that he thinks that the only reason Jokic is getting the MVP votes is because the voters are white. All right. And we made a point that was a completely disrespectful thing to say to the guy. For one, not even understanding. I don't even know if Kendrick Perkins realized how bad of a thing that was to say. All right. But then we said, I bet you this like galvanizes this team, and like they're on a mission now to prove this guy wrong. Not only did Nikola Jokic go out and win, they won the NBA championship and won the MVP. Cody, it's going to be fascinating by this. He just went through with points, rebounds, assists, like all the stats. He went through the best statistical 20-game stretch in the history of basketball at any period of time, regular season or playoffs, and he did it in the playoffs and through the NBA Finals.
Right.
And I gotta just keep going back to the guy that said the only reason they voted for this guy is because he's white. Bro, this is just the ultimate receipt to a guy trying to bury you in a personal way and in an accurate way. And this is just a great. Well, like, what did you think of that?
I don't think he cared about what Perkins said. He was going to get those numbers anyways because there's nobody like him.
Right.
You know, the guy's incredible.
I think the team
and bro, let me tell you something. Unlike Embiid, unlike Harden, unlike Jason Tatum, unlike Butler, he never had a bad game ever.
Right.
In the playoffs, when with the most pressure, with everything, he was incredible. He's just incredible.
Yeah, the best 20-game statistical stretch and that's including Wilt Chamberlain, like everybody.
Right. Bill Russell.
The best 20-game stretch ever. And he did during the playoffs after the guy said after he didn't win the MVP. That's the best thing. He didn't get the MVP. They all talked everybody into Joel Embiid, so whatever. So I don't know.
Because at the end, Embiid kind of came on. That's why.
Right.
Yeah.
Next is from Under Dawson. The subject is sunny days for everyone, it seems. With them having an episode of Dark Side of the Ring, I'm writing to you guys to ask a question about Sunny and Chris Candido. Sunny has flat out stated she had affairs with Shawn Michaels, the British Bulldog, Brian Pillman, and Dutch Mantell has recently stated that she was publicly cheating on him even back in the Smoky Mountain wrestling days. The question is, what was Candido's reputation behind the scenes of the wrestling business, considering that it was so well known that he was standing by this woman who kept other men? I mean, she went on a vacation with Shawn Michaels. That's way beyond just hooking up with someone behind your back. When they came into WCW, is Candido ribbed over this? And what was the rumor mill like for that couple? And personally, what do you guys think about how he was letting her get away with it all? I mean, dude, I don't. There's people like this, but I don't. There's some guys that just don't mind their girls sleeping around, and that's the vibe I got from them. Did you? I mean, how well did you know Candido? I didn't know him that well, but that's the vibe I got. Because I heard all the stories, and I'm like,
I knew him, but I didn't. We weren't like good friends, but he was always a nice guy. I don't remember people ribbing him at all about this because I think it was a serious thing that you don't really rib somebody about.
Right. Yeah.
No, there was no real rumor mill. Everybody knew it, and he knew it, and everybody was like, "Well, if he's cool, who gives a?"
And it seemed like from what I read or saw on the show or whatever that even if she, they had an open thing and she played around, he didn't. But I don't know if that's true or not.
Right.
Yeah, it was true.
Yeah, next is from Justin Alcade, and the subject is CM Punk, Jeff Hardy. Hello, Joe, Disco, and Conan. I know this with CM Punk go to AW Collision, we won't see the big angle with the Elite everyone wanted to see. But they want to become I just thought of this, too. And I bet you Sonny probably used to do this with Candy, with cheating on him and stuff. He would probably get, like, so up that he'd just pass out, and she would just probably, like, leave the room and go fool around.
That could be part of it, too.
Absolutely plausible, right.
While he was in the ring.
I know I see him Punk go to AW Collision. We won't see the big angle with the lead everyone wanted to see, but with everyone wanting to become a heel, which he's best at, should they revisit one of his hottest rivalries in the WWE with Jeff Hardy? Back in the day, it was a very edgy angle that got Punk over as a bad guy because him being straight edge, he was able to attack Jeff for his problems and struggles in the past. And with everyone's that happened with him recently as well, do you think they could come back and help reestablish Punk as a prick heel? That's not a bad idea. Because Punk could sit there and talk about Jeff Hardy's problems, and Jeff Hardy could say, "Well, you're straight edge. Look at all the problems you cause."
Yeah,
So that could be a good verbal exchange. So what do you think, Conan?
Yeah, could be a very good program. I just don't know how much Jeff has in the tank anymore. But
they only need to have one match.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
was,
just
I was
do
going to
5,
say,
6 weeks of TV to build up to one
right.
match. You
Yeah,
know?
and it doesn't
Right.
have to be a pay-per-view main event, just main event collision.
Which
or
is how
whatever.
this guy should be used. You
Yeah.
know, do a good 4-week build to one match every few months or so. You know, that's how he should be used as an attraction.
That's the thing
Next
where
is
I think there's a time period where none of us were paying that close attention, like 2008 and 9 and stuff like that, unless you guys were. But I know we've talked about stuff that none of us saw. And this is for listeners too, two of the great angles at that time was Michaels and Jericho did amazing, and the other one was Punk and Hardy. And it was pretty short, but man, it was really good between those two. That guy's right.